And here we go for week 11 for the NFL. Teams on bye this week: Falcons, Saints, Colts, and Patriots. I don't believe there's a whole lot of stuff we want to talk about for college this week because not a whole lot really happened other than, well, Chris
Eh,
knows.
eh. I'm just gonna keep this very brief, and all I can say is go to hell, Georgia, because you guys, oh man. I mean, I don't know where I want to be more upset with. Upset that we lost that bad to Georgia, or how bad we played. I don't. This is that was not how I pictured it. I thought we'd keep it close. I mean, we kept it close in the first like 1.5 quarters, and then they just caved in. Nothing went right. Nothing went well. It was a cluster. Better control my language here, but it was a nightmare. It was nothing that I expected. I mean, we did all we could offensively, and the defense. I figured the defense would have trouble stopping Georgia's offense. They're high powered. There's a reason why they're number 2 in the nation. But other than that, I thought maybe the offense would keep up, but
Well,
that was
number
not the
two,
case.
number two in the nation until last night. Georgia is now number one.
When see now it's number 1, so that's different. But even still, I mean, I thought we just put up a better fight, and they didn't. But it is what it is.
It was a
I mean,
bloodbath.
it was. But you know what? Here's my perspective of things. Sure, losing to Georgia, not ideal, especially in the way that it happened. But at the same time, this is going to be Ole Miss's second potential 10-win season in school history, and I'm talking about in season, not counting bowl games or anything like that. So, as an Ole Miss fan, all I can say is we're going to look up, we're going to improve, and hopefully we'll get them next time. That's all I can say about it.
And only thing
But
I'm gonna say for college this week is Jaden Daniels for Heisman.
that I will agree with. I'm all for the Heisman train for Jaden Daniels, 100%.
With that though, let's go into the NFL this week. A good one for Thursday night. Finally, the Bengals and
Yes,
Ravens.
this is do or die for the Bengals here. I mean,
Yep.
this could. I'm not going to say this might dictate their season, but it would
I
dictate their.
I still
Go
think
ahead.
if they lose this, I still think they'll probably finish with a winning record, but they're not going to the playoffs if they get 2 games behind in their division. They're just not.
Yeah. And before I go any further with my analysis for this game, I just want to point out that I was the only person who picked the Texans to beat the Bengals last week. So I'm gonna ride high on that one. But going back to this game, uh, yeah, the Bengals. This is just gonna be a good game. I think this is gonna come down to who's gonna be the better offense. Can the Bengals O line provide enough protection for Joe Burrow? Can the Bengals defense get enough pressure on Lamar Jackson? And being that it's a divisional rivalry game, it could go either way. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
a shootout, could be a defensive stand. You never know. This is going to be a really good game.
I'm looking up here. I'm trying to see for the last time they played. I know Burrow was hurt, but I don't think it was a blowout. Let's see
I don't
here.
think so either.
I think this one's going to end up being close. Let's see here. Where is it? Early in the season. Yeah, it was 27-24. And that was with a hurt Joe Burrow. So
Now
I
that Joe
think
Burrow is fully
I think
healthy.
this one's going to be a really close game.
Yeah. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if this came down to like a field goal, but it's going to be like one of those game winning field goals, just like last time, I think it was. But the problem is it's at the Ravens this time, not at Cincinnati, so this will make things a little more difficult for Cincinnati. So the Bengals will just have to try to uh, cover their ears from the crowd noise from Baltimore. I mean, playing in Baltimore is already tough enough, and we've seen a lot of teams go in there, take either an L or a really big L, looking at you, Detroit. So, but yeah, this is gonna be a tosser because it's divisional rivalry. These two have history, but I'm gonna go with the Ravens. But it's gonna only go to be. It's gonna be by 3 points. It's gonna be that close.
Hmm. Yeah, but honestly, for me, based on how it was for that first game, where the Ravens seemed to be the team to beat at the time for the AFC, and the Bengals were banged up then, and they still kept it to a field goal. I think for this one, the Bengals are winning.
All right.
I'm gonna take the Ravens. I don't want to pick against the Bengals because I want them to win, but I mean, we're looking at another fully healthy or pretty much fully healthy, not including J.K. Dobbins, Ravens team, and we're still looking at a banged up Bengals team. T. Higgins isn't gonna play, so it's gonna be Jamar Chase and then Boyd and Irwin and them. And we just saw this exact same lineup of Bengals lose to the Texans, and I think the Ravens are still the team to beat in that division. I think the Ravens are going to take it by maybe 3.
I still think it's coming down to a field goal, but I wanna go with the Bengals mainly because they're finally rolling on offense. Against the Texans last week, it wasn't a blowout. The Texans won by a field goal in the last 5 seconds of the game. Uh, CJ Stroud again just marching down the field within 30 seconds to put them in that position. But I think the Bengals should win this one by a field goal. Now we just need a will.
I think I'm gonna stick with the Ravens on this one. It is still a banged up Bengals team. Like you said, they struggled against Houston in a game that they should have won. I mean, stat for stat on paper, the Bengals are a better team than Houston, and they still managed to lose to them. You know, Mixon wasn't able to do a whole lot. Burrow and Chase didn't really have a connection. He had more of a connection with Irwin than he did with Chase. And the same for Boyd. I mean, Boyd had one big catch, really. I mean, he was a little active, but he didn't step up when he had the chance with Higgins being out. And like Paulo said, you have a fully healthy Ravens team minus J.K. Dobbins, but you have Keaton Mitchell, who has stepped up and is such an explosive runner that it's kind of like, man, do you really need J.K. to continue winning? Yeah, they lost last second last week, one of the 5 games that
was decided
lost
by
to
a
a
field
last
goal.
second field goal. But that's rough. I mean, that Cleveland defense has been trouble for a whole lot of teams this year. Like even the Niners, they beat the Niners because of the defense, not because of the offense. I mean, you had PJ Walker in at that time, but because of that defense is what won them that game against the Niners and that game last week against the Ravens. But I think they're going in with a fully healthy team against an offense that is still not 100% and not firing on all cylinders. So I think the Ravens win, but I think it's the same. I think it's only by a field goal. I don't think
Yeah.
it turns into anything more major than that.
I think we all agree here, no matter who wins, it's by a field goal. I don't think it's going to
Yeah.
be a blowout.
Whether it's last
Yeah.
second or it just so happens to be, they kick a field goal and the Bengals get the ball and can't do anything with it on a last second drive. I think
Yeah,
it's
defensive
just
stand.
it's a field goal by nothing more.
All right. I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. I got to believe in my boys. Let's
Well,
move on, though.
you could be
Uh,
like me last week.
Let's move on, though, to Sunday's games. First up, we have Cowboys, Panthers, in what should be a bloodbath, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Panthers stand no chance whatsoever. They just don't have anything together. Defense is trash. Offense is trash. Everything is trash. Even the special teams. I'll even throw in the water boy is trash.
My one concern for the Cowboys with this is we've seen um, what happened with them against Arizona earlier this year. And I still say that was a trap game for him. I'm wondering if this is going to be one.
No, because Arizona, we didn't know how good Josh Dobbs was when that game was happening. We know what Bryce Young has done for 10 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with Paulo on this one. I don't see this being a trap game. Just be another game that the Cowboys will slaughter to death, just like they did to the Giants last week. I mean, the Cowboys just fire on all cylinders against bad teams, with the exception of Arizona, of course. It's just I just don't see any way possible how the Panthers could find a way to beat the Cowboys. There's just no way, in my opinion.
I think
The
for
only
the
way is if they have extremely good, like, punt return for touchdown or something like that on special
Right.
teams. But even then, who knows?
I think
I mean,
this could be a good game for the Cowboys to finally get their run game going, because their run game hasn't been doing great for like the past month.
yeah.
I should know. I have Pollard in fantasy.
Shoot, man, I have Miles Sanders currently in my fantasy, and I've been trying to drop him all week because he did not do well for me
Miles
last
Sanders
week.
has been demoted to second in that lineup. It's
Yeah,
Chuba Hubbard now.
yeah, for good reason. I mean, man, that was a mistake to pick up. But with that aside, I mean, I I mean, maybe the Panthers could establish like some kind of run game against.
I don't know if the Panthers will, because
But that's
if you look at like the stats for both Sanders and Hubbard, a while back, I can't remember what game it was, but they were playing against a pretty good defense, and neither of them could get anything going. I think they both finished the week with like even with our league's inflated points, like 2 and I think 1 respectively.
yeah. Like I said, this is I just don't see any possibility how the Panthers could even find a way to
Yeah, I mean, I'm still picking
beat
the
the
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
I'm still picking the Cowboys for this, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they underestimate their opponent.
Now, if they do, I'm gonna laugh so hard. I'm gonna pull out every Cowboys meme like I did when they lost to Arizona. I will laugh and laugh and laugh, and I will point my finger at them. Said, "How about them cowgirls?" So
Yeah.
yeah, but for me, this is probably gonna be. I mean, obviously Cowboys. I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll take Cowboys too. I'll give it 4 touchdowns.
Oh wow.
Although going big.
I mean, they
Lord.
just did that to the Giants pretty much, so
Yeah,
True.
just for a like side note here, for these games against the Giants, the Cowboys combined score is like 89-17.
yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Will, you got anything for this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. Y'all rambled about a bunch of nonsense for no reason. Honestly, I mean, we could have kept this one like short and sweet. I mean, Cowboys versus Carolina. I mean, it's basically them versus the Giants for a third time. It really is. The one win that the Panthers had against Houston was just a weird game for Houston coming off a bye. So I mean, I don't chalk that up to anything. And you're playing a Dallas defense who can have 2 or 3 interceptions a game, multiple fumbles. You know, pick sixes. Like, it's just a defense that right now is just playing at such a high level. Even though they just lost Leighton Vander Esch, their captain, at the linebacker position to a season-ending vertebrae fracture in his neck, which could also, they're saying, could be career-ending. Still up in the air.
I
But
did not
even with
hear
that
that.
missing, I mean, they're just going to dominate. I'm not going to go as high as 4 touchdowns, like Paulo, even as much as I want to, because the Panthers still have some players on defense. The major one they have right now is Frankie Louvu in the middle of that defense. But I think Dallas wins by at least three touchdowns.
Right.
Hey.
Moving on, we got Steelers Browns. This one last time was a relatively close game, 22-26. The Steelers ended up winning that one. I don't think that's going to be the case this time. I think
I don't think
the
so
the
either.
Browns defense is vastly improved since I believe that was
Like week 2, I think.
week 2.
Of course, now the question is, how will the backup quarterback play, probably being the full-time
I
starter for the
mean,
rest of the season?
PJ Walker was doing almost just as good as Deshaun Watson. So, if not just as good, I don't think this team takes a step back at all.
how many games has Deshaun played in the past few weeks? He
I
played
mean,
he played this
he's
week
played
against the
like
Ravens, right?
yeah.
What did he play against Arizona? Because I can't remember like when he's been out.
That's
I
a good
don't know.
question.
He's played like 4 or 5 out of the games, and then Walker's played the rest. So I mean, I think most of the wins were under Walker.
I'm looking up some stats here. Yeah, PJ Walker played the game against the Colts. 39 points they scored on a pretty decent defense. Let's
Yep.
see here. I believe.
They beat the Niners with PJ Walker.
Yep.
That's true.
Lost to the Seahawks by 4, and then let's see. Did he play against Arizona? No, that was Deshaun. So Deshaun has played the
Okay.
last 2 weeks, but still, with PJ Walker, they've done fairly decent. They haven't done terrible.
Well, in
I-
that case,
I gotta
Go ahead.
go Browns because they have a vastly improved defense from that first week, and the Steelers' offense is the Steelers' defense is what's been saving them all these games. I believe, there was a stat I saw earlier today, something about they have been outscored every game, but their defense is what saves them. Like their offense cannot keep up with the other offenses, but their defense is what's keeping them in games.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm picking the Browns as well. Just based on what you said, Browns defense has done so much better than the first 2 weeks of the season, and Browns offense can be pretty good at times. And they were pretty decent against the Steelers in the first matchup, even though they lost that game. But that, of course, was with Deshaun Watson. And but I think if they can establish the same running game they had last time against the Steelers, they could win this game. At the same time, I just don't see the Steelers winning this matchup whatsoever. I mean, their offense is putrid at best, and it's nothing to write home about. Kenny Pickett is not the quarterback to beat this Browns defense, and yeah, there's really not much to say about the Steelers' offense as a whole. I mean, the Steelers' defense can only go as far as they can, so giving the Browns by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I'll also take the Browns by a touchdown. I think the Browns have a better offense and a better defense than the Steelers.
Yep.
The Steelers' defense is still pretty decent, but I don't know if it's going to be able to stop the Browns' offense.
The big thing
And
in this
then-
game is going to be the pretty good defense for the Browns going up against a pretty bad offense for the Steelers,
Yeah,
and that does
and
not
even
make
with
for
the
a good matchup.
Steelers, yeah, even with the Steelers' offense like finding its stride a little bit in the last week or two, like they're about to take like 3 steps back against this Browns
Yep.
defense. Like even with Najee Harris like starting to finally be able to run the ball, I don't think he's gonna be able to this week.
So I beg the question real quick: would you consider the Browns as a dark horse in the AFC?
I don't know if they're particularly a dark horse. I feel like they're one of those playoff hopefuls, like a wild card team. I wouldn't like to win the division, you mean, or just to make the playoffs?
Maybe just win division. Well, I guess it depends on their games against Baltimore, but I would say in this case, division. I think they can make the playoffs if they keep finding ways to win. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe they might find a way to trip up trip up Baltimore, take the division away from them. It's possible at this rate, the way they're playing.
Yeah, I'd give them a dark horse to be like division winners because like a lot of people know that they're pretty good. They're exceeding expectations, but I don't know if people really think that they'll take the division from Baltimore. So yeah, I'd say it's kind of like a dark horse to take the division.
Yeah. Will, your thoughts?
know so much about like dark horse and taking it from Baltimore, just because of the level Baltimore's playing at this season. I mean, for sure, their defense, like Cleveland's defense, is absolutely killing it. But I think it's going to hinder them is their offense, just because now you're starting a rookie quarterback going up against some of this tougher defense in at least Baltimore and the Steelers defense, who at times has been very good this season, and then there's times where they've just absolutely ran over and then
Mhm.
they look lost and they forget what they're doing. Uh, but in this particular one, I do think the Browns win. It's at home for them. You know, I feel like the weapons that Thompson is going to have, you know, Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, and Joku, he's got weapons that are going to help him out. And I mean, Kenny Pickett has had these weapons for multiple seasons now, and he still can't get anything established there. And yeah, like Jose said, even with Najee finding some ground these last couple of weeks, looking a little bit better, I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against that front, you know, that front four, especially Myles Garrett, who over the season they have began to double team and have people just follow him around wherever he's at on the line. I mean, we've seen multiple clips where he runs from side to side, playing right end to left end, and two people follow him. You know, and they're having an offense is having to burn the timeouts because they can't get set because they're so worried about where he's at all times. So I think the Browns win, and I think they win by a touchdown for sure.
Yep.
Especially against the Steelers offense that just is just not gaining any ground. I mean, it's just not looking good for them on a week-to-week basis. It's very inconsistent, and I think it's a quarterback problem. I don't even think it's a head coach or an offensive coordinator problem. I think it is a quarterback. He's not the answer by any means for them.
Yeah. I just want to say something that might be kind of a hot take for me. In
Oh,
regards to the dark horse for the AFC,
Oh boy.
Or you better say Steelers. The dark
Broncos.
horse.
Oh no,
The Broncos.
you get out of here.
Whoa,
You get out
wait,
of here.
I
man.
think they
to
might.
take the division.
No, not to take the division. I think they might actually make the playoffs.
I'll take
No,
that.
I
I'll
can't
take them
believe-
as a dark horse to make the playoffs.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Look at
I
what
don't
they've
It's
know.
done
not
the
out of
past
the
few
realm
weeks.
of possibility.
We are not there yet.
you know.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
sure.
statistically, this season so far, not just like for the team as a whole. Let's look at the quarterbacks. Russell looks better than both Mahomes and Allen. He's thrown more touchdowns and less turnovers.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I kind of agree though, because like, I mean, they're not really like a playoff like wild card or playoff hopeful in terms of like how people think about them. So I think that's kind of like in essence what a dark horse is, right? Just a team that has a chance to make it that people don't really expect to make it.
Yeah, I think they're gonna sneak in.
well, I'm not sure. I don't think they're quite there yet, in my opinion. But we can like discuss that further later in this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's save that for later on. Next up, though, we have from Detroit, the Lions and Bears.
Oh my.
There's no Tigers in this one. The Bengals were first.
Well,
Oh well. Well, in this matchup, I mean, I would say it's a classic divisional matchup between two NFC North foes. But given how the Bears have played this season, I, I'm giving it to the Lions just because the Lions are significantly better. Now, it could be possible that the Bears could find a way to make this interesting, considering it is divisional matchup between
Are
the two
they
of
getting
them.
back Justin Fields?
they are.
They are, yes.
Then I don't think this is going to be a blowout or anything. This is going to be close.
Yeah, I mean the Lions' defense is good, but is it good enough to slow down the Bears off, especially if it's being run by Justin Fields? Because Justin Fields, he has his moments, he can be good, but of course we haven't seen that yet this season because he hasn't been very good. Well, except for against the Commanders, I'll take that back. He did look pretty good against the Commanders, but that's the Commanders. After that, it's like a hit or miss with him. So would this be his hit game or miss game? I guess we'll find out this weekend. But in regards to this, I still think the Lions are significantly better, but I think I only have them winning by 2 touchdowns.
I'm taking the Lions. It's not really a question for me that the Lions are going to win. I think the Bears could put up some points. But the way I see it is that the Bears offense isn't very good and the Lions defense is really good. And the Lions offense is also really good. And I would put the Bears defense and the Chargers defense kind of like in the same like realm of like goodness. They're both like kind of, weaker. They have a little bit of pass rush, but they're kind of weak defenses. And the Lions just put up what, like 42 on the Chargers last week, so
Yeah.
I think
Granted,
they're about to put up.
that game was also decided by a field goal.
It was, but the Chargers have an elite offense is the difference. Like the Bears
This is true.
aren't gonna put up those kind of points. I think the Lions drop at least, like 30 to 35 on the Bears. I don't think the Bears can compete with that.
I don't know if I'm going to go that high, but I'm going to say at least 10.
Oh, winning margin?
Yeah, I think they're going to win by at least 10 points.
Okay, so not that the Lions are just gonna put up 10 points on the Bears.
No.
Yeah, I was a little confused there myself.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with Chris on this one. Like, what version of the Bears are you going to get, this week? Because, I mean, going back and just looking at games over the season, they've kept them, they've been fairly close, even with some of the better teams. I mean, they lost 3 points to the Bills, or to the Broncos. Obviously they're going to get blown out by KC. Blew out the Commanders, lost by a touchdown to the Vikings, whose defense is pretty middle of the pack defense. Only lost by a touchdown to the Saints, and barely won 3 to Carolina last week. So I mean, it's a very hit and miss team, and I mean, you are getting Justin Fields back. You're getting Khalil Herbert back. You got Darnell Mooney. You got Cole Kmet. Like, you're getting back to your offense what it was, and not that the Bears' defense is anything minor. Besides against the Ravens, apparently they just get absolutely blown out in Baltimore. But I still think the Lions win. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think we could see Justin Fields get back in there, even with it being in Detroit, and getting your star running back as well. So now you have a little bit less pressure on you as well. You'll be able to run the ball, get the ball downfield. But I think Detroit wins by 10 points. I think at least 10. If touchdown and a field goal there. But I think it'll be one of the better games to watch this week.
My thoughts with it though, like division games tend to bring out the best in some of these teams. If it does so with the Bears, I think we might have a really good game here.
Oh yeah, and just keep in mind they play them this week, and in 2 weeks they play them once again for their second divisional game. So,
Wow.
David Montgomery revenge game.
Yeah, big time revenge game coming for.
No.
That's a good point that Paulo. No, that's a great point that Paulo brings up.
No, I'm
David
going against him in
Montgomery
fantasy this week. No.
Hey, good luck.
He came back last week, right, and put up 116 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs also put up 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. So I mean, it's just there's no way the Bears can stop Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like there's so many weapons to have to be concerned about in that offense, kind of like with Miami. Like you've got threats all over the field. It's crazy. So there's no way that the Bears win this week or in 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if it's home field or away games. They're not gonna win.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's move on now to the next one, which I think this one should be over quick because it's Chargers and Packers. And the Chargers offense is going to blow them out. I mean, I don't think that Green Bay's defense can do much to stop the offense the Chargers have.
Yeah, Chargers offense is just too good. I mean, we saw how they played against the Lions last week. It was in a shootout, only lost by 3 in the end. And yeah, sure, the game might be in Lambeau, but at the same time, the Packers are just no good this year. I mean, that's all there is to it. Their offense is mediocre. Their defense just can't hold teams, opposing offenses very well. I mean, there's really not much to say about the Packers. They're just not a good team. And the Chargers, well, their record may say they're not a good team either, but they just have a really, really good offense. Defense, not so much. But I think the defense will have a better time holding the Packers offense than they would against the Lions offense last week. So
I want
I'm
to
going to
point
take
out. I want to point out from last week, the Steelers, which we've said is a terrible offense, still put up 23 on them.
Yeah, this is true. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Chargers by 10.
Same here.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think the Packers, before the season started, some of us, I can't remember if all of us were in agreement on this, but we thought that the Packers might be the worst team in that division. And then the season started, and we were like, and they were 2-0, and we were like, oh, maybe not. But I think by the time the season ends, we might be correct in the end.
Yep.
The Packers are not a
Yeah.
good team, and they just, like you said, they lost to the Steelers this past weekend. The Chargers are one of the elite offenses in the league. The only reason that they haven't made a real playoff run is because they haven't given Justin Herbert a good defense. But I think in this case, I think in this case against Jordan Love and the Packers, I don't think it matters. The Chargers are going to outscore them anyway.
Yeah. It don't matter if they can block one punch if there's 3 more coming at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you just go back and you look at teams. You look at the teams that they've played, the Packers have played this year. I mean, they got a hold of the Rams. Matt Stafford was out. They had Brian Rippon who was in, or Brett Rippon who was in, and they won 20-3. But then lost to the Vikings, lost to the Broncos, lost to the Raiders, who are having major struggles themselves and can't find themselves offensively. Blown out by the Lions, barely beat the Saints, literally by 1 point. Lose to the Falcons by a point and beat the Bears. Game 1, which is not anything surprising. So I mean, their schedule is the tell of all tales. Like, these teams that they're facing that are obviously better than them are doing what they should, and they're beating them. And teams that are equal to them or below them, they're still losing to them. How do you lose to the Falcons and how do you lose to the Raiders, who didn't have Jimmy G? They're using their rookie. It's just nothing by any means is going good for them whatsoever. And you have the Chargers offense who's, healthy, finally, besides Mike Williams, right?
Yeah, they're missing Mike Williams still.
But they're still fine. You got Eckler back, so I mean, Gerald Everett, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson. I mean, it's another offense with just, you look to the left side, you look to the right, and you have weapons after weapons, and you've got a mobile quarterback who's shown he can use his legs when he needs to. That's not his first resort; it's a last resort for him. So I think even with it, like Chris said, even with it being at Lambeau, this defense they don't have anything to stop them, and that offense isn't going to be able to keep up with them. And I think this will be a 14-point game.
Yeah, nothing about the Packers scares you. I think is the thing.
Yeah.
Not by any means.
You know what really makes
not with
me
Rodgers being gone.
What really makes me upset is that the Saints somehow lost to this Packers team. This what we
lost our quarterback in the second half. Remember that.
To be fair,
I know, but still, the fact that we lost these bums rigs me wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the Saints for you.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next one. And it is not where I thought it was. It is actually in Houston this week. Cardinals, Texans.
Yes, sir.
Even with Kyler Murray back, I think the Texans are winning this one. The offense
I
is
would
rolling,
hope
man.
so. Yeah, offense is rolling, and like I said earlier in this podcast, I was the only person who picked the Texans to beat the Bengals last week out of gut feeling and hope. And here we are, Texans beat the Bengals, and now I just have a lot higher hope that they should be able to take down the Cardinals,
My
despite
one
them having
thing
Kyler Murray.
is my one thing for this game is that we saw what happened to the Texans against Atlanta, and the Cardinals just beat Atlanta this past week. So I'm
This
not
is
As they
100%
should.
sure if that means that the Cardinals are going to give them too much trouble. But I think no matter what in this, the Texans are going to come out on top. We've seen Stroud be down before in the final few minutes of a game twice and just march downfield.
Yep, saw it against the Buccaneers last week or 2 weeks ago now, and then we saw it again this week. It's you just can't count out CJ Stroud. He's just a hot shot rookie right now. He's
100%
playing
he
it.
will be Rookie of the Year.
Oh, guaranteed. If he's
Easily.
not, if he's not, I'll be very upset.
I mean, who else could it be though? Like Laporta?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, you got Gibbs, I
Puka.
guess.
Puka.
Puka.
I don't think Gibbs is in that talk yet, just because Gibbs hasn't been used as much. I mean, he was in the time while Montgomery's out, but prior to that, he wasn't getting a lot of field time. Same thing for Bijan. Like Bijan, when he's on the field, very explosive yards, but when he's on the field is the key thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Puka since Cup has
yeah,
been back.
He's still putting up yards though.
He is, but a lot less.
A lot less, obviously. I mean, you're going to go to your trusted
Well, I mean-
receiver, veteran receiver, but I mean, they're still having games where they're both putting up 100 yards and a touchdown apiece.
We can't forget, though, that the Rams have also been struggling without Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just luck of the draw. Like, CJ Stroud hasn't been struggling.
He's struggled a little. I mean, he's a rookie. He has struggled. We can't say that he hasn't at all. You know, I mean, we struggled against Carolina, which is, like I said, still goes back to it. It's just completely unacceptable. So, I mean, he still has his struggles. But, I mean, he's playing.
Sure, but
he's playing
still...
definitely up to his caliber and potential these last few games.
We 100% know, though, it's not going to be Bryce Young.
By any means.
No. Yeah.
It was everyone knew that as soon as he got drafted.
Unless he wins out the rest of the season and the Texans just lose
not with the
out,
schedule
then...
they have. Stroud would have to go out. That's the only way that would happen for Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard I've heard stuff lately about people saying, "Oh, they should put Stroud in the conversation for MVP." I don't know about that as a rookie.
Yeah, that's a little too soon for that. I mean,
as a rookie, but who cares though? Like, if you're playing good this year, you're playing good this year.
Yeah, I want to see how the rest of the seasons go.
If
Season goes.
If he
we can
keeps
talk
up,
about it then. But
if he keeps up at the pace he's going right now with these past few games, by all means, put him in the conversation. But
he's outplaying Mahomes. He's outplaying Josh Allen at the moment. I mean, and that's hard to say. Like, you're outplaying Mahomes, who's been an MVP a couple times, who's two-time Super Bowl winner. Like, that's insane. A rookie outplaying someone like that. You know, who would have thought that could happen? Or someone like Allen, who's had pretty good seasons in the past. But I think it's mid-season still. I just don't think it's time for the MVP talks. We still got 9 games to go, 8 games to go.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, I think we all know he's not going to win MVP, but I have no problem with him being in the conversation.
Yeah.
Just based on his play. But I think I'm going to take the Texans in this matchup against the Cardinals.
Yep.
As far as the Texans losing to Atlanta and then the Cardinals beating Atlanta, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. A lot of that comes up to matchups. And then, Heineke went out of this game. It was Ritter in there for the end of that game, and then is Murray's first game back. Trey McBride's been balling, but I still think the Texans have just looked really good the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And even though they've been down with 40 seconds left twice, it doesn't seem to matter. Stroud's gonna get the win anyway.
So obviously today I knew, sitting at work, I knew what today was, right? Knew it was podcast night. And I've been thinking about this game all day. And I've been thinking the last few weeks, right? I've gone against them Said they were going to lose to Tampa, said they were going to lose to Cincinnati.
Maybe
And
that's
now,
why they've been doing well. Maybe you should pick the
so you
Cardinals.
jumped the gun. That's the thing. And in my head, it's like, man, I've been picking against my own team, but in my heart, I'm like, they're gonna win. They gotta win, right? But I think it's me verbally announcing, that they're gonna lose. But I kind of don't want to, right? This week, I want to be like, I want to profess,
Do it
I'm
anyway
all
and test
for
the
'em.
theory.
I'm
Yes,
all
yeah.
for them,
Do it.
but
Scientific,
hey,
scientific
Kyler's
method.
back. We're doing a thing.
Nah.
But if they win, they can't count against me on the record.
Nah,
We're gonna go those
But
Sanders.
we won't.
No catch 22s. Whatever you
No,
say
we're doing
goes.
catch 22s.
No, not at all.
Nah, but I can't this week. I gotta. The way Stroud's playing, the way that offense is rolling, defense is stepping up when needed. I think me and a coworker watching the game at work on Sunday, we were talking about is their red zone defense. Like they'll let a team get 80 yards downfield, 70 yards downfield, but that red zone defense of theirs steps up and it's either a turnover or they're only allowing a field goal. So I mean, I gotta say it. I gotta say that. I gotta stick with them this week. Like, I gotta go out there and say that they are gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be by anything immaculate. I think it's gonna be just like the last few weeks. I think it'll be anywhere from 3 to 7 points, depending on how they come out. If they come out of the first quarter firing on all cylinders, it's gonna be a game. But I don't think it's gonna get outside of 7 points for sure by maximum at all.
Yeah,
And if they lose, we know the theory was correct.
Yeah, if they lose, we blame Will.
Yep, we blame Will this week.
But it's hard to. I mean, comeback victory against Baker and the Bucks. Comeback victory against Burrow and the Bengals in Cincinnati. I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to
Yeah.
get back behind your team, right? Even though you knew those teams may have been a little bit better than them, it's hard not to stand by them when Stroud, like you said, 44 seconds, a minute and 44 seconds, he's gonna make something happen, right?
Yeah, I
So-
mean that's a team that right now it's easy to believe in the Texans for them
100%.
to keep it close or get a win.
Exactly, and even if they lose and their losses, they're keeping their losses close. I mean, they're in one major blowout by Baltimore, but I mean that is Baltimore. That was his first official start of the season. Taking away preseason, so they're gonna win. They're gonna beat Kyler. It's rough, Did lose a major linebacker to suspension. For a quote-unquote dirty hit on Jamar Chase. I still don't believe that. Calling BS on that suspension, at least not the hit, at least the suspension. For a guy who's been in the league for a little bit and, he's only had a couple mess-ups. But I still think that defense is going to do what they do and offense is going to look amazing.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope and pray.
And I also want to say that I think if they keep playing like this, 100% the Texans are making the playoffs.
Oh yeah, easily.
Hold up
Well,
with the
they
100%.
are.
If
hold
they
on.
play the way they have been playing against teams that on paper should be better than them, then yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are the
they've
wild
only
card at the
played-
moment. They are in a wild card
Exactly.
position, but that's not by much either. It's not by any means. It's not a for sure. It's nice to see them in the race, but they do have to continue playing at the level that they are playing at.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
whole
For that to
If they
make
this
do,
sense.
whole 100% talk though, like how many teams have they played against and beat that were on paper better than them? What, Jacksonville and the Bengals? Is that the only two?
Pittsburgh,
Is Pittsburgh better than them on paper though?
yes. The defense stacked against our offense, yes. Their defense was
Okay.
on paper better than what our offense could produce at the
ours
time.
was too.
I mean that's true,
Yeah.
but the Steelers and our offenses have been like anemic the first half of the year.
Yeah.
But still, like, that's what I'm saying. Like Will said, if they continue to play like this, then yeah, I think they're making the playoffs. So I have faith they can beat Jacksonville a second time.
I do.
Mhm.
That's not a concern, and I think they can beat Tennessee. I believe they can, especially if Will Levis is the quarterback, as he's supposed to be.
Which, segueing into the next one, The next one is the Titans and Jaguars.
Ah,
Well,
well,
speak of the
easy.
devil.
And this is in Jacksonville,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, not
Jags
even gonna
all
miss a
day.
beat.
Let's
It's
let
my
me
AFC South.
let me just say with this one, after last week, the 49ers absolutely murdered the Jaguars. I think they're going to unleash their full rage on the Titans.
Oh, I fully believe that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
do too. I don't have, I mean, their biggest Titans right now. I mean, you've got Henry, but Henry's having a season that's very up and down. You have that connection with Levis and Hopkins, but I don't think it's going to be enough with the
Yeah.
Jags. I think it'll be a
Yeah.
good game just because it's divisional, but I don't think the Titans win at all. I think the Jags win by 10.
Yeah, there's just no way. I mean, the Titans has just been so terrible this season with their inconsistency and lousy offense, that bad defense, and the Jaguars are just 10 times better than them right now. So, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is gonna have a field day, I think, with the Titans secondary.
I don't
I just
see
don't
them.
see.
I don't see them struggling against the Titans.
Yeah, not second week in a row. Now, if that did happen, fingers crossed, of course, I would be really shocked. But I just don't see that happening. I think Jags win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll take the Jags as well. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the Jags being like the league's pretenders. And I kind of get what people are saying because when they go against a good defense like the Chiefs, they couldn't win that game. The Chiefs have a good defense.
Mhm.
Niners have a good defense. They got shellacked. The Steelers defense, even like they didn't blow them out like they probably should have. But in terms of like this game, I don't think the Titans defense is going to stop the Jaguars from getting a
No.
win. I'll
Yeah,
give it
there's
to them by a
nothing.
touchdown, 10 points maybe.
Yeah, there's nothing scary about that Titans defense. Like you traded away, a safety, one of your top safeties, back to the Eagles. I mean, they love giving you players to the Eagles for whatever reason. Not sure what that's about, but there's just nothing scary about the Titans. I mean, you beat the Falcons, okay. You lost to the Ravens. You let the Colts beat you, and in my opinion, the Jags are obviously better than the Colts. So in that case, Jags are gonna win, right? You lost to the Browns. You barely beat the Chargers. You lost to the Saints. Like, there's nothing. Looking back at their record, you got blown out by the Bucks last week. Like, there's nothing, that says, oh, this is gonna be easy. It'll be a good game. The Titans will keep it close. There's nothing in the Titans past that says they're gonna keep it closer that they could possibly win.
Yeah. All I
Yeah.
can say about that is that they'll have a better game, the Titans, than they did last week, but that's about it.
Let's move on to the next
Maybe.
one though, and I have to say for this one, I have another hot take for this.
Oh Lord,
God.
have mercy.
Boy.
In regards to the Dolphins, because this game is the Dolphins and Raiders. You were talking about pretenders, Paulo.
Yeah.
The Dolphins have not beat an actual good team.
I mean, that is true.
This is true.
I mean, they beat the Chargers. The Chargers are still, like we were saying, like the record is a little squirrely with the Chargers. Like the Chargers still are pretty decent.
Yeah, but as
But
we've
that's
said,
the closest
the
they've gotten.
defense isn't enough to keep them in games against elite offenses, like we've said plenty of times before. But the Dolphins, every time they go up against a team that's good, they don't do so great.
So are you saying the Raiders are a good team?
No, I'm still saying the Dolphins
Okay.
are going to win this. I'm just saying
I was just trying to. The way you were going, it sounded like you were saying the Raiders were a
No.
good team by how you started
Yeah.
that
So wait,
conversation.
why
Yeah.
are we talking
Why are
about
we
this
bringing
then?
that up?
because
Is it
Paulo
because-
said something about pretenders and like talking about the Jaguars, and that
Oh.
made me think.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad me and Paula were on the same page there. The
Yeah.
confusion just was.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I kind of agree. The Dolphins are another one of those teams that look really good one week, and then they go up against a good defense, and then are just kind of like there.
Yep.
I'll still take the Dolphins against the Raiders, though. I think
100%,
the Raiders are
obviously.
vastly improved,
Yeah.
but not enough to beat the Dolphins.
No.
Yeah,
No.
but the Raiders beat the Jets and the Giants. That's nothing thing to really brag about if I'm a Raiders fan. If I want to really brag about something as a Raiders fan, beat the Dolphins. But I just don't see that happening this week. I mean, the Dolphins just fine. The Dolphins are too good against bad teams, and yeah, they're a joke against good teams themselves. But still, the Dolphins are gonna probably win this. I'd say by 10 in this matchup. The Dolphins will just outgun them, and their defense will manhandle them. I think. I just don't see any way the Raiders win this one.
Let's move on to the next one here. Giants Commanders. Will this be a repeat of the last time?
What happened last time the Giants won?
They murdered them.
Oh. I don't think it will.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was before.
I think the Commanders take this one. I mean, the Giants are just dumpster juice right now. They're putrid, they're nasty, they're like that rotting pumpkin that you forgot to throw outside. They're just garbage.
Have y'all seen? I'll see if I can find it and add it into the video and editing. But it's a picture of a pumpkin that somebody carved for Halloween, and it's got like a wide open mouth. And then they cut to it like 2 weeks later, and that thing is collapsed, rotten, and like sideways on the front porch.
Yep. That might be my pumpkin later this week, but yeah, I think the Commanders will definitely beat the Giants this go around. Nothing's going right for the Giants right now. They have no offense. Only thing working for them maybe is Saquon Barkley, but even he's not enough for them. Their defense is just a nightmare, and the Commanders have the leading passer in the NFL right now, Sam Howell, which is, to me, mind-blowing. Because when you think of Sam Howell, you don't think the leading passer in the NFL, but apparently he is. So here we are. But I think the Commanders would take this one. I'm going to say they win by 17.
17?
Yeah, I'm not going to go that high.
Yeah.
Nah.
This is my gut
especially when you traded away 2 of your major defensive players 2 weeks ago.
Does that really matter against?
I want to make a quick correction, though. I said they destroyed them. No, it was a 7-point game. It was 14-7.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say I don't remember them destroying them, but I mean, I figured you were looking at it. I wasn't about to say anything. Yeah, I'll take the Commanders. I'll take the Commanders in this matchup. The Giants, like, they've got Saquon, but Saquon can't do it all. Darren Waller, I believe, is still out. You're playing with the third string QB. I mean, maybe you could get lucky, but the Commanders, like Chris said, Sam Howell's leading the league in passing. They just played a good game against the Seahawks. They had both their running backs doing good. And then the passing game was also there. I don't see the Giants. I can't see the Giants like sweeping the Commanders. That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
I just don't see it either.
I'm gonna say though by like 7. I'm not gonna say 17.
Nah, 17's a bit much, but
way too much.
It's a gut feeling, bro. I mean, just like last week.
I just don't think their defense, even with the Giants playing like they are and who they really aren't. I don't think the Commanders' defense is that insane to allow them to win by 17 points, right? To hold the Giants to not scoring any, because at least, yeah, you can say Dallas pulled out some players, but DeVito still got them up there to 17 points. When Daniel Jones couldn't even get him, out of any points, right? So I just don't think the Commanders' defense is that, great or that awesome to allow the Giants' offense not to score at all. So 17 points is a stretch, by all means. Jesus Christ.
Sticking to my guns on this one.
Yeah, bud, you're way out there. Starting to sound like an Ezra theory that I know of, but
Silence. We are past this. Leave it alone.
No, we're not.
But I do think the
That's
Commanders
different
win
subject.
for sure. I think they win by like 7 points, maybe 10. I think that, with the weapons that they do have, I think 7 for sure, maybe 10.
I think
So
we're
we're
all
all
in
in agreement
agreement
with
here, though,
yeah.
that Commanders should win this one.
By 17.
No, no, that is not what we are in agreement on.
Yes.
Next up, though, we have 49ers Buccaneers, and I think Baker is about to get tag teamed by Bosa and Young.
Yeah, blowout coming for the Buccaneers for sure.
I don't know
I
about a
just don't.
blowout, but I know Baker's going to be getting hit.
I mean, we just saw what happened to
I mean-
Lawrence. He got sacked, what, 5 times?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
5
Baker's in
times,
trouble.
1 or 2 interceptions on top of it.
like the Niners look healthy again, and like I said in the last podcast, when they're healthy, they're dangerous, and they're healthy right now, and they're looking dangerous. I mean, we saw them absolutely tear apart Jacksonville all last week, and I just think they do the same thing with the Buccaneers. I mean, I think the Buccaneers might be able to try to find some rhythm on offense. The defense will try to give the Niners offense everything they got, but it's not going to be enough. They're going to eventually cave. I say not. I'm picking the Niners, obviously, and I think they're going to win by at least 10.
Yeah, I'll take the Niners. I think the Niners, we saw last week, they're firing on all cylinders against a good Jacksonville team. And then the Bucks are obviously coming off a loss to Houston. And I think that the Niners are about to take Tampa Bay Baker and make him look like Cleveland Baker. And it's not even going to be his fault. It's just that the Niners defense is just that good.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Baker
just-
hasn't been terrible, right? Like he's having a pretty
No,
decent season.
I will
he
say
isn't
it's
Baker midfield
the
at the moment.
the losses that the Buccaneers have are not the offense's fault. It's the defense.
Yep. Defense definitely.
Yeah, that's what's going to hinder them, and I think the Bucks can, make a few stops, but I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with that for 4 quarters. And unfortunately for that offense, like you've got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White, who are having, all 3 of them are having pretty good years. That defense is just going to be. It's going to be monstrous. That O-line is going to fight all day long. They're going to wear them down. Like you said, you got to protect both ends of the ball now, right? A lot of defenses have one key component that you got to pay attention to on one side, but now you've got both sides to look after and really, really pay attention to.
Yeah, Baker's
So
about to get
I do
bum
think
rushed.
I think the Niners do win. I think they win by 10, for sure. I just don't think that Bucks offense is gonna have a hard time scoring. That O line is they're gonna struggle. And the Niners have people they can switch in, interiorly. Even their backups that they use to rotate are fresh. They're quick. They're still can get in there and make plays, and we've seen it all season. So I mean, it's just, Bosa's out this play. Yeah, we have a replacement. Oh, Young's out. Yeah, guess what? We have a replacement. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going to be never ending.
Yeah, you sub out Bosa and you've still got Young, which is about as good as they were before the Young trade, and then you take out Young and you have in Bosa, and that's just as good as they were before the Young trade. So
yeah, no, it's just and that secondary. I mean, the secondary week after week after week comes up with 1 to 2 picks. I mean, it's just you're just in trouble everywhere. Even these high-powered offenses have issues with them. So I mean, it's just going to be a bad day for Tampa. They took that loss to Houston. They're going to take a loss this week. I mean, unfortunately, their losing streak is just going to continue, and it's not going to be Baker's fault. It's
just
not.
Tampa's not good enough, just all around.
Defense, yeah, that
They're just
defense is just
outclassed.
not going to help them 100%. Which sucks to see because, Baker's having a decent year, and it's good to see that, but it's just going to be rough for him.
Yep.
Well, let's move on to the next one here. Jets, Bills, and I think this is a bounce back game for the Bills.
See, I want to say that, but that's so hard to say right now.
I mean, let's not
See,
forget the Bills have already lost to them. The open game, season opener. And we can't say it's
yeah,
because of Rodgers, because Rodgers played literally 4 plays.
The Bills
know,
only
I've been
looked
four
good in like
plays.
3 games this year, maybe 4. Like they even in their wins, they just haven't looked very good.
But I just don't. I'm losing a lot of faith in the Bills this season. I mean, they're just not the team that we saw last season or the season before or the season before that. They've become a team that throws the ball away a lot. And they just recently fired their offensive coordinator, who I think what was just being the what's the word I'm looking for?
Scapegoat.
Yeah, scapegoat. Thank you. And because I mean, we see Josh Allen, he leads the league in turnovers. I mean, do you really want to blame that on the offensive coordinator? To me, I would blame that more on the quarterback than the offensive coordinator, but it's already been done. So now, how will Joe Brady of the interim offensive coordinator for the Bills step up? We'll see. I think we still get the same result, and the Jets already beat the Bills once. So I don't know. I don't have enough faith. I mean, yeah, the Jets suck too, but maybe this might be a bounce back game. If I have to, I might take the Bills by 3, but I'm not very confident in this one.
The only reason I think this might be a bounce back game for the Bills is because recently, like we've said, their defense has been pretty good, but recently not so much.
Yeah.
In the last 2 games, the Chargers beat them 27-6, and the Raiders beat them 16-12. And that's a Raiders team who, what was it, their head coach, I believe, that got fired.
Yeah.
And that was the first week without their head coach, and they still managed to put up a good bit of points on them.
To be fair with that one, like the Raiders putting up 16 points isn't bad. Like if your defense can hold the team to under 20 points, that is like a sign of a good defense. I blame that one on the offense though, because if you can't outscore 16 points, then I mean that's on the offense. Like
Yeah, I agree.
the defense did everything they could. Like
Yeah,
16 points is what, 2 touchdowns and a
Mhm.
safety. Like that's
yeah, but
Or
Like,
2
that's-
touchdowns and
issue,
a 2-point conversions.
the issue with that though is the Raiders' offense hasn't been amazing either.
no, but it's been better.
Yeah, but what I'm saying there is that recently their defense hasn't looked as good as it should have. They only beat the Giants by 3 in overtime. We can't forget that either.
Yeah, but that's another thing is like the defense held the Giants to 10 points. The offense just couldn't put up any.
Yeah, they held up a bad Giants team.
It's a 10 points. That's what good defenses do. They can't just shut out every game.
Yeah. I'm kind of with Paulo on this one.
I'm
Like,
just
I'm
saying,
blaming everything on
if
the
you
offense.
hold a bad team to that many points, it shouldn't be a surprise that you're holding them to that many points.
I don't know what you're. I don't.
Like,
I don't.
A not
what
a
did you
not
say
great
just now?
offense, a not great offense being held to low points shouldn't be a surprise for. What I'm trying to say is,
It isn't.
I mean, a good defense is supposed to hold a bad offense to maybe less than 17 points.
they shouldn't
And that's
score
what
anything but field goals at that point, as bad as the Giants have been, is what I'm saying.
I mean, sure, but like,
Why are we on that topic? We're talking about the Jets and Bills.
I know,
I
but
am so confused
we'll
how
I'm
get off
saying
topic
we
a little
are.
bit.
are you saying that the Bills have a worse offense than the Giants?
Oh, no. No.
No,
The Bills definitely have a way better offense than
That's what I'm saying.
But the thing is, the Jets have already beaten the Bills once. So
Yeah.
how much faith do you want to have with the Bills to actually beat the Jets this time?
I just don't
I
see
actually
the
have
Bills
more
losing.
faith in the Bills because of that. Because I don't see them getting swept.
Yeah, I don't see them getting swept either.
Not even
It's-
with that Jets defense that has been like that Jets defense has been carrying that team. Like they have
Yeah.
been carrying that team super hard, week in and week out. They're keeping that offense in, the team in games. They really are. Like they've got a fantastic defense this year. They could use a few more pieces to really like solidify it, but they are carrying this team to the record that they have. Because it's kind of like it's just Zach Wilson's not it, right? We say that every week, but that's what's keeping them in there. Like the defense is literally keeping them in games, and it's terrible. Just like with Pittsburgh, like Pickett is terrible. Everybody knows it. The whole league knows it. He knows it. Mike Tomlin knows it. Like, but that defense is keeping them in there, which is why like Pittsburgh is 6-3 because of their defense. I mean, the Jets are, in this because of their defense. They're 4-5. I mean, you're one game under 500, right? Without Rodgers, replace Zach Wilson with Rodgers, and what are you looking at? You're probably looking at being, 6-3, maybe 7-2. Like, there's a lot of potential there, but I don't think they get swept. There's no way that Buffalo comes off that loss to Denver, right? They lost to them opening week. Like, there's no way they come home and lose to Zach Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like if Josh Allen loses to Zach Wilson a second time, it'll be a whole nother conversation at the end of the season on where he ends up, because it's not Buffalo. Like if you can't go in there and beat the Jets, that's a conversation that has to be had, and it's no longer an offensive coordinator issue. Like we're talking about, Dorsey being a scapegoat. It's a Josh Allen issue. And that's where you have to start looking.
Yeah, I think the Bills do win this game. My confidence in the Bills is at an all-time low, but
Same.
my confidence in the Jets never got very high. So
yeah.
I
mean,
think that
Allen's
the
on
Bills
that.
have to do this. If they lose this, then it's gonna be. Oh, I
Bills.
don't even know how we're gonna look at the Bills after this. If they lose
Bills
this,
if the Bills lose this, Bills fans will be on suicide watch.
Yeah, I mean,
we're
Josh
gonna be
Allen
looking at a whole rebuild.
Allen is on a 6-game streak at the moment with an INT, right? And that coworker of mine who I just got off this project with is a hardcore Bills fan, and I feel for the guy because hey, Texans were in that position for many years, and it's just watching these games for him week in and week out. I mean, he's betting against his own quarterback to throw a pick, just because he knows how he's been playing. Like that's terrible,
I mean,
right?
that's a good bet though.
But it's terrible though. That's terrible to do. But that's what's going to happen, right? You come in here and you're like, man, I'm a hardcore fan, but unfortunately, I have to bet against my own quarterback if I want to win anything because I know what he's going to do, and that's just that's the sad reality of it. So I mean, yeah, if they lose, I'm going to say they're going to win, but only by a touchdown. I don't think they're going to come in here and do what they did to Miami by any means, because they're just having it rough. But if they lose, they're gonna have to. Sean McDermott's gonna have to start looking at that quarterback position and rethink. Because if not, you have the possibility of losing Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, if
he's
they lose this
already-
game, Sean McDermott might be looking for another job. To be honest,
And
Like,
Diggs
they might
has
scapegoat
already
him next.
shown like he's not happy.
No.
Nah.
Honestly, though, if they lose this, I think for this year the Bills are out of the playoffs. Honestly,
Definitely, I agree.
I wouldn't say 100% they're out, but
it gives them a
they're
pretty
definitely
good
I don't
chance
know
of
because
missing.
because
being out.
let's look at this. Let's look at the remaining schedule. I think this will be the downfall. If they lose this, it's gonna start an avalanche because following week, Eagles at Philly.
Ooh.
That's
Yep.
rough. Following week,
Yikes.
KC. We know how those games go, right? We've seen how those games go between them and KC. Following week, Cowboys defense. I mean, you're not getting in Chargers. That's a middle game, and you finish off with the Pats and then at the Dolphins.
No,
Like, you have
it doesn't get any easier.
Very tough schedule, yeah. And if they lose here, it's just an
what I'm
avalanche
saying.
for disaster.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. If they lose
Looking
this,
at
it's
the
the
next
domino
6
effect.
games, you're looking at the next 6 games. They can maybe win 2 to 3 out of the next 6. 2 to 3.
Unless they turn themselves around in this one.
Yeah, and that puts them at 500,
Right.
either right above 500 by a game or right below 500 by a game for the next 6 games. So I agree with Jose. This could this could potentially be the downfall
This could be
to
their
where they
season killer.
do not make the playoffs. I will go out and agree with him on that. It's very possible.
Yeah, same. With that being said, I mean, I never made my official pick. So I'm gonna take the Bills, but I'm not very confident. But I only have them winning by 3.
Also, I want to say that last week, even though I picked the Bills, I told all of y'all the next day, I got a feeling that the Broncos are gonna do something in that game and end up winning. What did I say?
Yep. You
Well,
said
to
it.
be fair, the Broncos didn't really do so much as the Bills just did the wrong things.
I mean, they got 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, which the fumble
Yeah.
recovery was the first play of the game.
Yeah. But again, that's directly from Bill's mistakes. Like James Cook shouldn't have fumbled on the first play.
And their offense was marginally better than the Bills' offense.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the Broncos have been trending that way. Their offense is looking better each week, it seems.
They're starting to find their groove. But I think we're all pretty much in agreement that the Bills, if they should win this, and if they don't, it's going to be a downward spiral from here.
Yeah, if the Bills don't win this, then it's official that their Super Bowl window has closed.
Yep.
For this roster. Like,
Let's move on, though. We've got, I believe, 3 games left. Seahawks, Rams, honestly, I don't know if the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks again. They beat them earlier this season. The Seahawks have been doing pretty good for the past few weeks. I don't see it being as big of a score for the Rams because, you know, as we said, Stafford's still, he's coming off that injury. I believe he's playing this week. But I don't know if he's going to be like his old self, at least for another couple weeks.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Seahawks as well. When I think of the first matchup they had against each other in Week 1, yeah, the Rams are fully healthy, so were the Seahawks, and the Rams dominated them. But after that, things just haven't exactly gone according to plan for the Rams. Matthew Stafford got hurt. He may or may not play this weekend. So, and the Seahawks have gradually gotten better as the season progresses. So, but I think the Seahawks just have a more well-rounded team right now than the Rams. So I'm going to pick the Rams by a touchdown. I'm not going to make it any higher than that because it's a divisional opponent game.
the Seahawks, you mean?
Yeah, Seahawks. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, we should also mention that the Rams have a kind of struggling run game right now, too.
I think Kyron Williams is back this week.
Is he?
No, he's not. No,
Oh, he's not.
he's
Okay.
not back till next week.
All right.
You said the last few weeks the Seahawks have had, good, some good gameplay. They only beat the Browns by 4 points. Absolutely blown out by the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, and you barely beat the Commanders by 3 points, 29-26. So I don't know if we can necessarily say that when you barely beating teams that you should obviously beat. Yeah, Stafford's
wait.
injured.
You're talking about the Browns?
Yeah,
Yes.
The Browns, who
Browns
have one of the best defenses, and they still beat them?
talking about the Commanders. You
Let's
barely
see.
beat them by a field goal,
I was about to
29-26. You barely beat them, and they are a much better team than the Commanders, and you still let them put up 26 points against you, and won it with the last-minute field goal. Yeah, Stafford's coming off of injury. Their running back situation isn't the best, right? But you still have Freeman. You still have Darrell Henderson, and the Seahawks aren't good at stopping the run. This year, that run defense they have hasn't been the best.
Yeah.
Like the ball is still being ran at them. They're still allowing quite a few yards in the run game, right? So I think it'll be close. It is at home for LA. But I think I'm gonna still stick with Stafford, with Puka, with Cooper. I think it's still gonna be. I think they're still gonna win. I think even with Stafford coming off his injury, I mean we battle injuries. We've seen him, you know, dislocate or break his collarbone. Yeah, it was a few years ago, and still come back and lead him to a game-winning drive. And I mean, it just goes to show, like, he's been injured last year, this year, and he still comes back and continues to play and continues to run, throw the ball, win games. Yeah, they're 3-6, but there's been a lot of injuries on the team itself, but I still think they win. And I think they win by a touchdown.
I think I'm gonna take the Seahawks in this matchup, and I really don't believe in the Seahawks that much, but I don't really believe in the Rams that much. I think a lot of it's gonna depend on Stafford and how he plays.
Yeah.
The Seahawks have, their record the past few weeks has been decent. But honestly, up until this week, like Geno has been low key not looking really good. He's throwing picks, not very many touchdowns, not very much yards. But on the flip side, like Kenneth Walker has been doing pretty good. This is the thing that just makes the decision for me is just another one of those. I don't think the Rams sweep the Seahawks. Like the Seahawks have already lost. I don't know. We talk about the Seahawks like they could still be a wild card team. So I don't think a wild card team gets swept twice by a team like the Rams that isn't great in and of itself. Like it's a good team, but I don't know if I don't know if a team that's not in the top 10 sweeps a playoff team twice, like for the season. I don't know if I can see that.
Yeah, me neither.
So Will's the odd man out.
That is okay.
All right, we got two left. Next up is Sunday Night Football, Vikings Broncos. I want to pick the Vikings in this, but with the way the Broncos have been playing lately, I think it's going to be close.
Yeah. The Broncos have surprisingly been playing better. They beat the Chiefs a week ago, and then they came around and beat the Bills, both who are pretty good teams. Well, as we already discussed, the Bills are kind of in a panic mode right now. But anyway, but with that being said, the Broncos have been playing better football. But so with this matchup could determine how they shape out how they play out the rest of the season because the Vikings have turned a corner. I mean, they still have a good offense under Josh Dobbs, and I think Justin Jefferson comes back this week, but I'm not sure. Do any guys know if he's
I'm
coming
about to
back
look
this
it
week?
up.
Yeah,
I
so I
believe he will
on
be back.
on fantasy because I was looking at my lineup this morning. He is like they have him to come back, and it hasn't been
Okay.
100% announced. But talking to him after last week's game, the reporters, he was telling them how excited he was to come back with the energy that's going on with Dobbs, how he played last week. Like he's ready to come back.
Mm.
But as far as that goes on, his injury, what the staff, thinks he should do, I think that's going to be a later this week, possibly game time decision on if he's going to, play or not.
I see. Well, with that being the case, if Justin Jefferson plays, then I'm pick. Well, I mean, either direction, if he plays or not, I'm still picking the Vikings because while the Broncos have played better lately, I don't think I think the Vikings are still better than them, and I think their offense is just gonna be too much for the Broncos defense to handle. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, they did take down Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, and Josh Allen, the Bills. So you never know. Maybe they might take down Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. So, but I'm gonna go the safe route, pick the Vikings because I think they're still better than the Broncos. But I'm gonna have them win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Vikings. I know the Broncos have been better, and Russ has been better specifically. And the Broncos could very well, like we were talking about earlier, end up having a shot at making a wild card spot. I don't know if that'll happen, but I feel like they'll have a chance to do that maybe. But the Vikings, the Vikings have just been playing well. Josh Dobbs in particular has just like resurfaced and become like a great quarterback all of a sudden. And like it's hard, it's really hard for me to pick against Josh Dobbs right now. Jefferson or no Jefferson, like Addison has been looking good. One of the better rookie receivers this year. Hawkinson's a beast, top 3 tight end in the league right now. The defense is improved. The Vikings are they're another team like the Broncos that just continue to trend upwards. And I think they'll keep it close, but I think the Vikings will get this win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like I said, I want to pick the Vikings, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos manage to win it somehow. Just because of their defense, I feel is playing really well right now. And their offense is starting to find its footing. But I'm still picking the Vikings by at least a field goal.
Yeah, I think this is a great Sunday night matchup.
For once.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
not even for once. There's been some good Sunday night games. Thursday night's another story, but as far as
Thursday and Monday has been garbage for
Sunday
so
goes, I
long.
think this is definitely one of the better ones. I mean, like you said, you had the Broncos come off of a win against Buffalo, a win against KC. You know, they are looking better than last year by far, way better. Kind of looking like the old Russ. Still some mishaps, still a few miscues here and there, but overall they're looking good. But like Paulo said, this Vikings offense without Jefferson, they're 5-0. So you're talking about a team that is now 6-4, who's looking, making a push for the playoffs. So without Kirk, without without Jefferson, I mean they're looking good. And Josh Dobbs, coming in there and pulling out a win against Atlanta, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
practice, doesn't know his receivers' names, and to come back and win. And then last week to put up the numbers he did against the Saints, he had rushing touchdowns, passing touchdowns. I mean, just out of nowhere. You were a backup down in Jacksonville. You were a backup in over there in Cleveland. You were a backup in Arizona. It's kind of like the Geno effect last year, where Geno was this backup for years, and then last year looked great. It's the same thing with Dobbs right now, where he's just phenomenal, just out of nowhere, and it's hard to root against that. It's hard to say that he can't go in there and win, you know. And with or without Jefferson, I mean, if he has Jefferson this week, I mean, the sky really is the limit for him. Like,
Yeah.
it really is. It's going to be insane if he gets Jefferson back. Even if he doesn't, I still say they win by a touchdown. But if they have Jefferson, I mean, it's almost like a guaranteed victory, in my opinion, with a receiver like that to add to the weapons, they already have. So, yeah, I think Vikings by 7 for sure.
I think we all picking Vikings on this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, on to the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Kelsey Bowl Round 2.
It should be a good game. A very good game. Probably one of the best Monday night games this season, in my opinion.
I was thinking about this before we started recording, and I really don't know.
It honestly could go either way.
No.
I mean, this is a rematch of the last Super Bowl, basically, but this time it's at Arrowhead Stadium instead of wherever the last Super Bowl was at. So, but Eagles have been playing hot. Chiefs have been okay. They've been playing good. But would I say they've been playing better than the Eagles? I wouldn't say that as much. But I mean, this is pretty much Philadelphia's revenge game because they lost to the Chiefs in the last Super Bowl. So, but it comes down to who's just going to be the better team in this matchup. Is it going to be the Eagles? They have a really hot offense and a good defense, or will it be the Chiefs with being the defending champs at home with Patrick Mahomes and company, and the Chiefs defense who has been pretty good lately. So this is a tough one. but I'm gonna give the edge to the Eagles. They're gonna come in on the road with an upset. I just think the Eagles are just better than the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't know if I'd use the word upset in this situation. And
I
I'm
say
only
that
saying that because the Chiefs have been struggling on offense, and we see it week in and week out, right?
Mhm.
I mean, his major player is Travis Kelce. His
Yeah.
receivers are giving him help, but they're just not giving him a lot of help like they were last year when they did go on to win the Super Bowl, right? Receiving room compared to now. I think the Eagles, the level that they're playing at defensive wise, is insane. Like you said, you got three defenses in the NFC, but also in the NFL between them, the Cowboys and Niners, and who's the topic for the number one defense, right? So you've got them going up against KC, whose offense is really struggling, and not only that, an Eagles offense who is firing on all cylinders. AJ Brown is putting up 100+ yards in consecutive weeks, just week after week after week. DeAndre Swift looking solid in the backfield for him. You still have Hurts who can run when he needs to, and he shows it. He's been a little more patient in the backfield, sitting back there in the pocket. Devontae Smith having his games where he's getting some catches and yards. I just don't think. He lost Dallas Goedert. That was a good security check down for him. 9 times out of 10, if he didn't like anything downfield, he was going to Goddard. But I don't think that's going to have enough of an impact to where it changes my mind that they could possibly lose to KC. I just don't have faith in KC, even at home, that they could beat the Eagles with the way the Eagles are playing right now. Like, there's just nothing in my mind that stands out and says, oh, yeah, Chiefs could win it. I just don't have that. I mean, you lost to Denver. Yeah, Mahomes was sick. You could throw that out there, but still, you lost to Denver. You're going to tell me that the Eagles are comparable to Denver? Not by any means. They're a much better team. So I think the Eagles will win there, but I think they only win by 10 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Will on that one.
I'm gonna be the odd man out and pick the Chiefs.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know the Chiefs lost to Denver, but the Eagles lost to the Jets. But I mean, at the end of the day, those are separate teams, weird matchups, whatever. As far as this one goes, I do think the Eagles are the better team, but I feel like the last few years, we have this thing where every year we kind of like as soon as we start to feel like it's not the Chiefs' year, like a few years ago we thought like Buffalo and the Chiefs were going to be like a great rivalry, and now look at Buffalo. Like the Chiefs are still at the top of the mountain, and Buffalo is like falling. And I know the Eagles are at the top right there trying to dethrone the king right now, but I don't know. It's just the amount of times where I like before the podcast where I've been like, oh, the Chiefs are gonna lose to like whoever. Like the Chiefs always seem to get the win. Like every time I think the Chargers might be able to beat the Chiefs, like they can't. And so I have a hard time picking against the Chiefs if it's not the Bengals on the other side of the ball. And then I think like me and Will, I know, picked the Dolphins a few weeks ago against the Chiefs, and look what happened. I can't do it again. Like I have to just like if I'm gonna pick the Chiefs, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I can't pick against them this week.
Yeah. I think my only concern with what your statement, your Dolphins Chiefs thing is, and I don't want to blame it on it, but I do feel for it because I've traveled via plane even within the U.S. is jet lag. Like jet lag's a real thing. Even days
Yeah.
afterwards, you can still be jet lagged. But I chalk that
Yeah.
up to, and that's in another country. It's not like KC had home field advantage. If it was home field advantage, this argument, or not even argument, like this topic, the discussion could be a little different. I'd be like, yeah, you're 100% right. Like Miami went in and lost home field advantage. You went into another country, traveled across seas. I mean, the atmosphere's different over there, the elevation, all those are factors, right? And I don't want to chalk it up to it, but I mean, we see it happen. And just
Yeah.
like I said, from personal experience of flying, I've been jet lagged myself a day or two later. So I mean, I get that over there, but I get what you're making a standpoint there. But
My thing with
I
that though is
respect that.
that my thing with that is that the Chiefs have a longer flight to Germany. So if anyone's gonna be more jet lagged, it should have been the Chiefs.
It's
And if it
about
was
even.
like equal, if it was well, I mean, if it's even, then the Chiefs
Yeah.
just beat the Dolphins. Then
Yeah. So, I mean but I don't know. I still I see what you're saying about KC, but it's just
My
the
problem
way
with
they're
Paulo's
playing
statement
on
is
both
that
sides of the ball.
my problem with Paulo's statement is that, like we said before, the Dolphins have not beat a good team.
Yeah, and I mean it just goes back to show, but I don't know, just the way the Eagles are firing on both sides of the ball, it's hard to. Yeah, they lost to the Jets. You're right, but I mean, weirder things have happened, right? I mean, the Niners lost to the Browns, right? That should have never happened, So everyone has their games, but I just think the way the Eagles are playing, like it's going to be hard to, it's hard to stand against them even when they're on the road.
we shall see.
We shall see.
Yes.
I will buy Paulo breakfast if the Chiefs win.
Oh, bet finally a reward for
Bet.
me if I win.
Yes, I have
Yes.
not bet
Let's
Paulo, but I
go.
will. This one is one of those games that I'm okay with betting on. Like this is a game. This is gonna be a dogfight. Like this is just one of those games that you make a bet on in the season.
I want
like,
to add
this is
something
one of
to that,
those.
Will. If
Oh no!
Paulo
Oh
ends
no!
up being wrong,
boy.
then
Oh
he has
boy.
to wear the foam tiger head all day
Oh no!
at the LSU
Hold on a
game.
second. How are you gonna volunteer a thing for me?
There must be consequences, Paulo.
This is
No, there
this is
must not.
true.
Where was your
No, this is
consequences?
fair.
Every time someone offered you a reward,
Oh,
there was
man.
Ain't
never
my fault nobody
consequences.
thought of it.
No, we just
Man, I
didn't
wish I
do
was
it.
going to this game.
Yeah.
No.
Do
Also,
you
I'm the
accept?
underdog. You gonna punish me for being the underdog and losing? If
That's
anything,
fair.
there should be a punishment for y'all.
Nah, because Will's already
Yeah, because
buying
y'all
you
are 3v1.
Will's already buying you breakfast if you win.
Okay, so there
Yeah,
shouldn't
so
be a
I'm losing
punishment
money.
then.
Yeah, I'm losing money, right? But no, I'm okay with going out on the one. This is just one of those games that it's gonna be there. So I mean, the bet is worth it in the end.
Plus, it was
Yes.
kind of like, it's kind of bad that there hasn't been any consequences the last couple times we've made bets on here.
Well, because none of the bets have gone through.
Oh yeah, they did. What you mean? I
Chris
won
bought Jose lunch.
One bet has gone through.
too,
There's been at
because you
least
also
3.
owe us drinks.
Ah,
Oh
that
yeah,
is true. I forgot about
True.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you forgetting? There's
No,
been
I did
there's
forget
been
that.
a few, but there's never
Brother,
been any
listen
consequences
here.
for
I've
the
worked
others.
80 plus hours for the last 4 weeks. I don't want to hear anything from you.
I know. I'm just saying, like, there's been those, but there hasn't been any consequences for the other side if they were wrong.
Now Jose wants consequences as soon as he's not the one involved with it.
This is how it goes.
Well, hey, Chris. The only other one that we made was Chris saying, I think it was if the Patriots won, he was going to eat a shoe.
Oh yeah, but that one I got away with because the whoever was playing the Patriots won.
Yeah, and there was no consequences for the rest of us on that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, there shouldn't have been. If the Patriots lost, were we all gonna eat our shoes? No.
no, but there should have been
Like, that's
something.
what I'm saying. If Chris lost and the Patriots lost?
You really think I could physically eat a shoe?
No, but we could have still just done the thing of like you sitting at the table with a shoe on a plate and just took a
Fair
picture of it. But
Because I would totally
with-
do that.
with that over with though, a couple of things before we end. I did go and tally up our picks from last week. Will was at the bottom again, even 7-7. I was 8-6, and Paulo and Chris, you two were tied at 9-5.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Going to the overall though, Will is still at the bottom because of those couple missed weeks he has, but he's 44-40.
Blacker.
Okay. He's in the positives now.
Yes.
What am I? What? I'm confused. What was I?
The overall for you is 44 and 40.
Yes, sir.
We can't
Above
really judge
500.
it on wins and losses though. We have to percent it because of
Yeah.
the missed games for Will.
Yeah.
So
But
he's over 50%.
Hey.
going to the next one is Chris at 76 and 55.
Goodness gracious, I've missed
Not
like 30 games.
Paulo,
Not
you
bad.
are at 80 and 51,
Nice.
and I am at 81 and 50.
I must dethrone Jose this week.
Take
Oh,
him
no.
out, Paulo.
I'm trying to think. What did Jose pick when he was the odd man out?
I don't remember.
Bengals.
Bengals, yeah.
Okay. So if the Ravens win and everything
yeah.
else breaks the way we think it might,
Yeah,
then
but
Jose
yeah,
might
you have
be
the Chiefs though,
dethroned.
so y'all would be
Yeah,
still
so
in the
it
same
might still
position.
break even.
But-
yeah.
Maybe.
But the other thing is no episode next week because it's Thanksgiving week. Everybody
Yes.
take time. We, 3 of us here at least, will be meeting up for the LSU and Texas A&M game, which
Possible
we.
possible collab in Baton Rouge.
I don't
still
know
in
if
the
we're gonna be
air.
able to record anything.
A live recording.
We're
I don't
live
think that's
recording it,
happening.
possible collab. I don't know. We'll be in the stands. Just
We
stick.
could set it up.
Stay tuned and see what
Paulo,
happens.
Yes.
Folks.
Paulo, we're gonna need you to vlog again.
Again, I didn't even do it last time. I said I was.
No, you should do it this time so we can actually have like something for next week.
Something to upload
Yeah.
for next week. I mean, it's gonna be past next week by the time we would even go.
Well, yeah, but still, it's just
Now,
something.
You're
I wanted to-
possible.
I wanted to add this real quick comment before we wrap things up. Saints are obviously on a bye week, but in regards to the Saints, please, for the love of God, do something about that offense. And also, for the love of God, fire Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. That is all.
Yeah, we desperately need a change.
Yes.
Like this is not working. How long do we have to go before we realize it's not working?
I don't know, man.
And
it's driving me bananas.
To Dennis Allen's point of saying that changes in coaching staff don't really tend to work well, look at the Raiders. They fired their head coach and they're winning now.
It just shows you how clueless we have. Our head coach is. It's infuriating. I'm over it. At this point, this season is just annoying as hell.
Yep.
So
Yeah. At this point, Mickey Loomis just needs to step in and, like, do it
Yeah.
himself. Like,
exactly.
that's why you're the GM. Like, I know it's
Mhm.
loyalty. Dennis Allen's been with us for a while, but like, at the end of the day, we need wins. We need results.
Yep.
But
We have it. We have the roster, but we're not getting the results we want. So
yeah.
there you have it.
But that does it for this week. Meet back in like 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. To those at home listening, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time.
Happy Thank-
Football.
Football.
Oh God.
Football.